Welcome to this video. I'm Jacko, Advanced Oxygen Advantage Instructor, and we're looking today at the breath specifically in terms of the biomechanics, how we get those ribs articulating effectively to help with the positioning of that rib cage to allow for effective use of your diaphragm, and how that's going to change the way you feel because you're going to be changing and improving the way you are breathing for better functional breathing patterns. So for all of our day-to-day breathing habits and patterns, we want to be breathing in and out of the nose. The nose is designed for breathing. There is a whole separate video on the benefits of nasal breathing and why the nose is so clearly designed for breathing over using the mouth, and why it's so important to do that. That's in a separate video. I'll put that up. There'll be a little thing on one of those sides that will say, like, click here if you want to watch that video. So the benefits of nasal breathing. But so that's just a given. We're going to be breathing in and out of the mouth. Mouth? No. What am I on about? We're going to be breathing in and out of the nose. Sorry, in and out of the nose. Right, so our normal breathing patterns and habits is going to be breathing purely in and out of the nose, not using the mouth. One of those benefits of nasal breathing is that's related to today's video about biomechanics and proper rib movement, is that the nose is linked to the diaphragm. So when we do breathe in through the nose, it does help facilitate use of our diaphragm. So diaphragmatic breathing has been shown to be the most effective way to breathe. Our diaphragm is our primary breathing muscle. We want to be able to use it. Now, activating it and using it is one thing. So as we breathe in through the nose, we want to be feeling the diaphragm moving down and out as it flattens down. And as we exhale and relax, it comes back up and it returns to a domed type position at the bottom of your rib cage. Now, the ribs become super important in terms of providing the space to allow the diaphragm to move effectively. The diaphragm is a muscle. If it's not allowed to move efficiently and effectively, you're going to get restrictions, you're going to get sort of tightnesses in it. It's going to affect how effectively you can use and how easily you can use your diaphragm. That's going to affect your breathing rate, probably going to likely over breathe a little bit. That's going to affect how easily you're going to be able to breathe through your nose. It's going to affect how you feel when you're breathing. So have an effect on our stress response potentially. It's going to have an effect on your CO2 tolerance if your breathing patterns and the breathing rate starts to increase and you overbreathe a little bit because it's not got the space to move up and down and in and out nicely. The ribs are key to allowing the space for the diaphragm to move efficiently and effectively. So then, what are the ribs supposed to do, and how can you know whether you're doing this correctly? This is the biggest thing for me. Like when I started a couple of years ago looking into breathing, breathwork, and asking myself the question, am I breathing correctly or not? I didn't have any idea of what the ribs were supposed to do, even if they were supposed to move, and also the fact of, like, once I've found that out, how am I supposed to know if I'm doing this correctly? So hopefully this video is going to help you do that. So on an inhale, the ribs are supposed to open up and widen. So if you find your two lower ribs under, so you go find your sternum plate here, and then your two lower ribs, you'll see the line of them through the t-shirt there. I can show you clearly here if I run my fingers down. There's one rib on that side, and there's the angle of the rib on the other. So the ribs are in this position, yeah? They're supposed to widen and open up. We call this the infrasternal angle, the angle that the ribs are making with your sternum. That infrasternal angle is supposed to widen on the inhale as the diaphragm draws down. That pulls air into the nose and into the lung, or in through the nose into the lungs. As we exhale, the diaphragm goes back to its relaxing position, so we don't have to do anything on the exhale. We can just simply relax. Diaphragm moves back up to that resting position. But if the ribs stay out wide, it doesn't give it the chance to go back to that resting position. What we need to do on the exhale is let those ribs come back down together. They're going to come, and that angle that they're making with the sternum, so that infrasternal angle is going to get smaller, it's going to shorten off or close off, and they're going to come down towards the pelvis as well. So on our inhales, we're thinking about those ribs opening and widening laterally, but in all directions, but this lateral expansion of those lower ribs. And then on the exhale, as we relax, they come back together. They go down towards the pelvis rather than being stuck up into extension, down towards the pelvis. That allows then the diaphragm to go back to that resting dome position. Okay, so some things you can do to practice and try this out. First of all, find that sternum plate, find those lower ribs, just get used to what they feel like. Dig your fingers underneath a bit, have a little bit of a play around, have a feel, okay? You should be able to get your fingers and have a little, like, notice where those ribs are. And then what I like to do, just to start with, is put the fingers underneath and then breathe in and feel those ribs go out. Taking more air than you'd want to, just normally from normal breathing, just so you can feel it. Feel the ribs widen, and then as you breathe out through the nose, you'll feel the ribs start to come down together, and what they'll do is they'll push your fingers out of that gap that you made. So when your stomach is all relaxed, you can get your fingers underneath, you can breathe in, and you can feel them widen and open up, and as you breathe out, they come back down together, and they're going to push your fingers out from beneath. Okay, so that's you just starting to get them feeling them moving. Now, we don't want to be taking like big breaths in all the time for our day-to-day breathing habits. We want our day-to-day breathing being nice and light, slow and low. So you can go, once you've got used to that feeling of how they're moving, put your hands on the outside of your ribs, those two lower ribs, and then as you breathe in, just gently, you'll just feel a gentle push of the ribs out laterally. No movement of the shoulders or the chest. And as you breathe out and relax, you'll feel your fingers just come together slightly. And it's a small movement because we're only doing nice, light, small breaths. So you breathe in through the nose. Hands move out slightly. Diaphragm moves down. As you relax and breathe out, ribs come together. So hands start to come together and come down. The ribs go down towards the pelvis as well. So we should be getting a nice flattening of the front of you. And breathe in. Hands move out. Breathe out and relax. They come back down together. So as you breathe in, diaphragm's moving down. The space created by the ribs moving out. And as you breathe out, you relax. Diaphragm comes back to its resting position. You help that resting position by bringing those ribs together, closing that infrasternal angle, bringing the ribs down towards the pelvis. It really sort of is that simple in terms of the process of it. There's other little things and pieces that you can do that I'll add some more exercises into some more of the videos that I'm going to be putting out there. But just to get you started, you're thinking about breathing in through the nose. You're thinking about the diaphragm being the primary breathing muscle, initiating that drawing in of the air through the nose by pushing downwards and out. And the ribs are going to help facilitate that good diaphragm movement by ribs moving out on the way in to widen, and then on the way out on our exhales, they're going to come back down together and down towards the pelvis to allow the diaphragm to go back to its resting position. And we want our day-to-day breathing habits not to be like big breaths. We want to be thinking about light, slow and low breathing initiated from the diaphragm. Air just pulled nicely in through the nose, ribs widen slightly and come back together nicely. Breathing at rest should be nice and effortless and smooth, but when we try to change our breathing habits, it can take a bit of time to get that feeling of it being effortless. To start with, you're going to have to like think about it, and you're going to bring your awareness in, and you're going to have to you're going to be trying a little bit. But as you get better at this, it's going to become more of just like your natural habit of how you're breathing. You want it to be coming from this lower position rather than from the upper chest and the shoulder sort of movement. That's going to help just straight away by using the nose rather than using the mouth. What you'll find is your whole sort of spinal will feel a little bit better. Your rib cage will feel a bit better because it's moving and articulating more effectively. You should get less tension build up through your shoulders and your pec and your chest and your neck, and generally start to feel a little bit better as you change potentially every single breath that you're going to take during the day. And having a great foundation of your just basic day-to-day breathing patterns at rest is the key fundamental we need to get in place, because when you're going to then change that to what is it like when you're breathing when you're walking, that's going to be more challenging. We want to try to still build upon this lovely foundation of nasal breathing, using the diaphragm and helping the ribs articulate effectively to allow that diaphragm to move properly. Then when you start to add walking and jogging and running on top of that, obviously there's no way you're going to be able to breathe perfectly when you're running if you're breathing when you're at rest and your just day-to-day normal breathing patterns are like a bit rubbish or a bit toilet or whatever, a bit dysfunctional. You don't suddenly start breathing better when you make the exercise or the metabolic demand harder. So we need to make sure we get our bog standard day-to-day breathing patterns under control and nice and low, slow, light as per the oxygen advantage, and then allowing these ribs to articulate so the diaphragm can start to move more effectively. You're going to feel better, your breathing is going to improve, and it has the potential to affect every area of your life in terms of like how well you sleep, how well you manage stress, how you move, and how you feel. So I really do hope this video helps. If it has helped you, let me know in the comments, or if you have any questions about breathing or some of the breath work, let me know in the comments. Definitely want to be able to help you. If you think that this will be helpful for someone you know that's interested in changing and improving the way they breathe, or they're particularly stressed all the time, and you think actually if they change the way they breathe, that might help with that, send this to them. Really appreciate you sharing that and spreading the love. And then if you're interested in any of the online workshop series that I do, spread across 3 weeks using Zoom, so you can access anywhere in the world. We're releasing new dates for those all the time. If you want to get information on that, do email me. My email address is in the description below, but just for the record, it is davidjacksonfitness@gmail.com. And finally, if you haven't subscribed yet, get into that guy, that one there. Yeah, let's hit subscribe or down there, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.